The Lakers may have just won the championship, but with other teams on the rise and getting better, improvements to this Lakers team would go a long way. Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Luke, and if you're new, make sure to check out my other videos. I post some pretty lit content that I know you will enjoy. And if you're not subscribed, just please, man, subscribe. Over 60% of you guys aren't subscribed. So you're telling me you're watching this video and you're not subscribed. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If that button down there is red, there's a problem. Make it gray. Hit that red button, because it's a big problem, man. It's a really big problem. But let's get into the part I know you've all been waiting for. The trades that will be going down in this video will mostly be giving up future assets for immediate help, which obviously is what the Lakers will do in real life if they make any trades, because you can't really build for the future when you have LeBron on your team. So the first trade I have going down is for Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder is one of the most underrated guards in the league, and if the Lakers are able to get him, they will have a solidified third star. And a solidified point guard, which obviously they don't have. I mean, playing LeBron at point guard worked, but obviously the Thunder are a rebuilding team, and it wouldn't be surprising if they let go of Dennis. Now look, it's not like they're trading him for pure shit. They're getting 2 first-round picks and a young player who showed a lot of promise in Talen Horton-Tucker. And then Danny Green is just there to fill in for the cap space, so this makes sense for both teams because the rebuilding team is getting young assets and the contending team is getting right now assets, if you will. This next trade is the only exception to those right now assets I was talking about. The Lakers will be making a trade involved with the New York Knicks. Believe it or not, but at one point this dude Dennis Smith Jr. looked like he was one of the most up-and-coming guards in the NBA. And then he went to the Knicks and his whole career went to shit. Well, nothing new. But the fact of the matter is, we've seen DSJ do well, and we've seen his potential. So this trade is a low risk, high reward type trade for the Lakers. Obviously, DSJ doesn't want to be in New York, and he obviously doesn't fit there. So giving up 2 seconds and Talen Horton-Tucker won't really hurt. Yes, Talen has showed sparks of potential, but we've already seen Dennis Smith Jr. look like a future star. So we know what he's capable of. So this trade makes sense for both teams. The Knicks are getting picks and another young player who showed some promise. And they're getting off Dennis Smith Jr., who just hasn't been a good player for this team, hasn't fit. Every negative adjective has described Dennis Smith Jr.'s role with the Knicks. It has been rumored that the Pistons have been trying to trade Luke Kennard for a while, and in my opinion, he's just a better, younger Danny Green who can't play defense, who has potential. So that's a plus for the Lakers. Langston Galloway is just a salary filler for this trade, but he could provide some value for this team. Maybe he could play like a Troy Daniels role from earlier in the year, but the Pistons are getting a full-on unprotected 2022 first-round pick. No catch, no nothing. For this Lakers team, I think it's worth it because Luke put up 16 points per game this year. So just imagine if the Lakers had a third option of that caliber. I'm talking to you, Kuz. But yeah, this trade works for both teams. The Lakers get that score they always wanted. This next trade is involving the Denver Nuggets. Gary Harris is someone who put up 17 points per game 2 years ago, and then for some reason had a massive downgrade last year, only putting up about 10 points per game, but still showing that potential defensively. Now, a team can't have enough defense, and maybe the Lakers can revive Gary Harris's scoring ability by making this trade, because having someone like Gary Harris next to LeBron and AD is key. A really good defender who would slide right into that starting shooting guard spot for this Lakers team if it stays the same. So I got Danny Green, Talen Horton-Tucker, and a first-round pick. Gary Harris still has 2 years on his contract, so in a year, the Nuggets would be clearing up $19 million, which is key because that 2021 free agent class is loaded. Not that the Nuggets are a hot commodity for free agents, but you know what I mean. But they do get a young asset in Talen Horton-Tucker and that first-round pick, which, you know, it is a first-round pick. It's going to be pick number 30, but it's a first-round pick. Gary Harris just had a falling out with the Nuggets this year, just not doing what we expected him to do. So he's getting his ass up on out of there. Now, this trade will be controversial to a lot of Lakers fans like me, but I think it makes sense overall. Straight up, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for Joe Ingles. Look, I know KCP played very well in the playoffs, but Joe Ingles is a sharpshooter, more reliable, and I just see him fitting with this team more perfectly. I personally believe Joe Ingles is way more skilled than KCP, and he's also a sharpshooter. I just think he's better overall. He's being paid $2 more million, and he's on a 2-year deal, unlike KCP, who's just on a 1-year deal. So in 2 years, again, the Jazz would be clearing up $10 million. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's still a great player, and I think this just makes sense for the Jazz because, look, they're clearing up money, and they're also getting someone who you can argue has the equivalent value to Joe Ingles. So this makes sense for both teams, just because I think Joe Ingles is that much better than KCP, just a tad, and I think he'd fit with his team more. So as you can see, guys, these trades aren't blockbuster, crazy Kawhi Leonard for Anthony Davis and a first-round pick type trades, okay? That's just not realistic. If you came here for that, I'm sorry. You might want to watch like a King of the Fourth Quarter video. Might want to watch a 6 Rings of Steel video, because that's just not what you're coming here to see. Keeping it real, keeping it realistic over here. So yeah, the Lakers would just be upping their role players and upping their supporting cast. In these trades, you do see deals like the Dennis Schroeder deal, which would be a blessing for the Lakers because we've seen what Schroeder or Schroeder, guys, leave in the comments down below. We've seen what Schroeder can do, putting up 20 points per game consistently lately, and if that happened, I would be very excited to see him on this Lakers team because the Thunder are a rebuilding team. Anyways, guys, I want you to let me know which trades you thought would be the best for the Lakers, or come up with any new trades. Hit me up on my Instagram at reliable_rants. DM me some trade possibilities you come up with. I'd love to talk, and I'll see you guys in the next one.